Usually says no. A God sent guest. You can walk into any house. Why? Aren't you sweating already? Be sent to the other family. Oh, finally we have a son. No one follows the rules. They always are giving you money. Drink so much. Hi guys, my name is Salta, and on this channel I share a lot of information about what it's like to live in Kazakhstan. And today we're gonna do a very fun video, which is 10 things that only Kazakh people do. So let's begin. So first things first, there's gonna be a lot of positive and negative things. I'm not gonna be, sugarcoating things, but I wanna be honest and also show you the best parts of Kazakh people and their mentality. So let's begin with the positive one. The number one thing that I value in Kazakh mentality is when everybody comes to help you with anything that you might request. For example, if you're moving out or moving in somewhere, and for like a lot of the guys, they would ask for their guy friends to come and help you move. So back in the days, it wasn't really popular to hire movers, and usually just like all men that you might know would come just like grab all your items and like help you move, and in exchange you would just like provide them tea or some kind of meal. And then whenever they're doing something like you ask for, they might ask you to come help. It might be like cleaning out, I don't know, helping with like cooking, maybe like moving in, moving out, whatever it might be. Like, because we have that communal mindset and we used to be living in those huge like communities, families, and like extended families, we're used to like collective work. So these type of things happen very easily, and nobody usually says no if you ask for anything, but likewise they're gonna ask you for a favor in return. Number two is actually we take pride in being very hospitable, and even if they met you for the first time, they're gonna ask you, like Kazakh people would ask you to come to their house and they would provide you a meal. There's a term called Koday Konak, which means that if you say that you are like the God-sent guest, that's a literal translation, they cannot say no. They're gonna provide you a place to stay, they're gonna provide you a meal, they're gonna be hosting you, providing you the best they possibly can. So and that could be any house. You can walk into any house and they're gonna host you basically, and that's kind of like an old tradition that comes from like the centuries back, but that's something that we take pride in. And there's also like, once you're in a Kazakh person's house, you have to taste some kind of food there. That's called austiyu. So it has to be some kind of maybe like wheat product, like bread or cookies or whatever that might be. You have to at least give it a bite, give it a taste, sip a little bit of tea or something. So there's those traditions which I really like about Kazakh people. The third tradition is very funny one, is that we drink a lot of tea, and that could be black tea, that could be the Kazakh tea with milk. And even in summer we would always drink the hot tea, because that makes us sweat and that cools us down. So basically, back from the centuries, we would always drink tea in the summer, in the winter, at any season. Basically, we drink a lot of tea, and a lot of the times, so that's why we don't actually like adding ice to our drinks. A lot of the foreigners would laugh sometimes that when it's like 30 Celsius outside or 100 Fahrenheit outside, but we would still get a hot coffee or hot tea, people would be like, why? Like, aren't you sweating already? It's something that we got used to, and I don't know why, but it still is a big thing that a lot of people do and Kazakh people do. Number four is not gonna be as positive, but we are a patriarchic society. We have been, well, whatever that means basically. When there's a son in the family, he's treated like a king. When there's a daughter in the family, she's treated as someone who's going to be sent to the other family as a wife. So, not every family does that, but for the most part, every family wants the son to be born in the family. A lot of the times people are like giving birth until they have a son. So they might have like 5 girls, and then the 6th son arrives and they're like, oh, finally we have a son. And then the son doesn't do anything in the house. He doesn't cook, he doesn't clean, he doesn't do anything basically, because he's a boy basically. But the girls usually start cleaning, cooking very early in the days. But that's also like, I can't claim that everybody does that, but it's very prominent in the country. I don't know, you decide if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Kazakh people do that. Number 5 is a funny one, and that's something that I noticed when I went to like a lot of celebrations and weddings here. I would see like very famous celebrities to perform there, sing. We have like Kairat Nurtas or Rosa Rymbayeva, like Dimash could be singing, and they would be So Kazakh people don't really follow the rules. There's not much order and discipline. I don't want to claim that no one follows the rules. When it's like a gray line, people can break those traditions or rules. And when it comes to a singer performing in front of you at the wedding, they don't care if he's singing. They would just like come up to him and like start taking pictures while he's singing. Like I have so many videos on the YouTube or like on YouTube, on the internet, where people are singing and they're just like they can't do anything. They're like standing there, everybody's taking pictures with them. They have to still perform. And that is so funny. And I was like, gosh, like give him some space, like allow him to sing and then you can take pictures. But especially older women don't really follow that. They don't care if he's singing. But that's funny. I mean, am I judging? I think I am. Number 6 is something that I really love about Kazakh people, and there's actually a term called korumdik, which they always give whenever you have something. I actually did talk about it in one of my videos. When you buy a car, when you buy a house, when you have a birth, when you do something major and you bring over guests, they always are giving you money. And like it's not just one way. You would always, when you go somewhere, you always give money. When you see somebody get something new, something major happening, you always like there's like this exchange of money happening. And there's also like when you see when somebody brings you good news, that's called suyunchi, and that person also collects money for being the first one to spread the news. And usually those are good news basically. And when somebody's traveling somewhere, when somebody's coming to your house, they can never come empty-handed. They have to buy some kind of presents, bring some kind of like chocolate or wine or whatever. But even when we travel, like I travel to some kind of countries, I always have to bring some kind of presents to my relatives. I don't always do that nowadays, but that's like huge tradition. When somebody goes abroad, they like bring like a suitcase of presents to all of their relatives. And that's a really cool thing. The other thing is that when there are some kind of gifts, they usually entail a lot of like rugs for some reason. There's always some kind of textiles. There's some like scarves, material textiles and like rugs. Those are always in the list of gifts that people provide. For example, if somebody's getting married, I don't know. So for different occasions, those always are there. And there's actually a funny thing that when you receive those presents that you don't actually are going to use, you can like return them back to another person, and there's like an exchange of those presents too. And that's kind of like a hidden thing that nobody talks about, but everybody does. Number 7 is the fact that we're very traditional and conservative. Maybe not as much as we used to be, but still everybody thinks about the community. Everybody thinks about what their relatives are gonna think, what their neighbors are gonna think, what their acquaintances are gonna think. So people are really worried about other people's opinions, and because of that dictates their actions. Sometimes like who they marry, where they work, what kind of cars they buy. Everything might be influenced by their relatives, by their community and whatever. And that's kind of like, there's like a joke when, well, I can't remember exactly, but like a Kazakh person dies but his head is still thinking about what other people are gonna think or something like that. So there's actually a thing like that. So number 8, that's actually not so positive, but back in the days that was worse. Like a lot of older generation used to drink so much because back in the days the religion wasn't as prominent in Soviet times. So I don't know, like our parent generation used to drink so much, like they would like drink vodka with like these huge buckets, but now like they still drink, like a lot of people do drink, and we're not as religious, as I said. Like some people are religious, they don't drink, some people are not, they drink. So it's very flexible. It depends on the person. But if you compare it to Europe or maybe the US, you would probably think that we drink a lot. Number 9 is something that every Kazakh is being asked or does ask in return. If you're Kazakh, we would always ask what ruum, basically like what's your tribe. So there are 3 tribes in Kazakhstan. There's like the older tribe, the middle tribe, and then the younger tribe. And each Kazakh belongs to some kind of tribe, and then that kind of divides them into different stereotypes, different groups. And if you meet someone from your tribe, you're kind of like you can relate, you know. It's, I don't know what that, how useful is that, or maybe sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, but that's a thing. And there's also a fact that Kazakh people don't marry their relatives as opposed to other countries, I've heard. They actually avoid as much as they can being married to relatives. They actually check up until their 7th ancestor, make sure like we don't cross over any type of extended families, relatives, whatever. And that's actually a fact that's very important to Kazakh people. Last but not least, it's not going to be the positive one, but I did mention a lot of positive and funny and amazing facts about Kazakh people, but this one is more like, you know, it's funny but also a little bit uncomfortable. If you are in lines, sometimes lines are not as followed, sometimes people break lines, and if you are being served at a bank or, you know, at some kind of government agency, you'd sit like in front of the worker, but then people would come over to that worker and ask for things, you know, maybe like ask for some consultations, and you'd be like, I'm actually like this is my term to be getting service, but then the worker would actually also get distracted and talk to those people, and you know, that happens a lot, and that's something that I noticed in contrast to other countries. So I did mention positive and negative things equally, and I hope you learned something new. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, and yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my other one. Bye guys!